Yeah.
Welcome back to the Stress Floor podcast. I'm Matthew here, as always, with Venushan. And since we're at the end of the season, we got like one or two games left for most teams. It's time to do our final NBA awards for the season. We did our quarter awards, we did our kind of halfway, kind of two-thirds awards. And it's time to see if those held up to the end of the year or not. We're gonna start with one that's near and dear to our hearts as Raptors fans. Rookie of the year. Who do you have taking home the rookie of the year? Is it Evan Mobley? Is it Scotty Barnes, or is it someone completely out of left field?
So I have Scotty Barnes winning Rookie of the Year. I have Evan Mobley coming in as a close second, and I have Cade Cunningham. I'm actually coming in as a close third with his end of the season performances. Yeah, so the reason I have Scotty being first is because no one outperformed him in like an individual weight. Like Cade was the offensive Rookie of the Year. Evan Mobley was a defensive Rookie of the Year. But Scotty Barnes was close to Evan Mobley in defensive and team impact. He was very, very close, arguable to be above him. I have Evan Mobley ahead of that in the defensive section. But then if you look at the offensive section, Cade is the guy. But Evan Mobley is close because of his versatility, his playmaking, and what he's been asked for. So due to him being like close, both offensively and defensively, I give him the award. And then if you look at team success too, like the Raptors are significantly better than last season, and Evan Mobley gets a lot of his credit for why the Cavs got better, but the Raptors are better than them, higher in the standings, and Scotty Barnes should get a decent amount of that credit too. And I think he has crazy stats, like he's the only rookie since Magic Johnson to play all five positions. He had a great stint at center. We've seen him put in a point guard when Fred VanVleet was injured. We've seen his playmaking improve throughout this season. We've seen his confidence. Like he is the rookie of the year this year, and he has performed the best.
Yeah, I agree with you on all of that. I think Mobley gets the nod defensively. But you're right. It's a close race offensively with Cade, and it's a close race with Mobley. The thing that stands out to me about Scotty is like when he was drafted, we at least myself thought he was going to be kind of a raw, like a raw talent that maybe would need some polishing, but he's so much more polished than I really expected. Like you said, defensively, he has to do so much. He's spent time guarding point guards. He spent time guarding centers. He's not treated like a rookie in this Raptor system. He's treated as like one of the very important defensive or one of the very important rotation players. And
yeah,
he is not just someone tagging along with the Raptors' success. They would not be where they are without him. Right. So that's kind of the reason I have him number one. And also kind of aside from his 3-point shot, I really like his offensive game. I really think he can kind of score sometimes when he wants to, and he has a lot of like really polished go-to moves down low. If that shot comes along, he shot 29% this year. If that comes along, he could average 20 points next season if he hit a few more threes, like easily. He averaged 15 this year. So just being so polished, being so versatile defensively and offensively, the playmaking, the rebounding, and just basically looking like a competent, really good NBA player.
Yeah.
Pretty much the second he stepped on an NBA court. That's why I have him there.
Yeah. And if you look at his stats compared to like Evan Mobley's stats, they're like Scotty Barnes is just
they're
better.
The same. They're about the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the same, but his is just better. He gets 15.4 points versus 14.9, 7.6 rebounds for Scotty versus 8.2 for Evan Mobley, 3.4 assists, 2.5 assists, more steals at 1.1 versus 0.8 for Mobley, less blocks at 0.8 versus 1.6 for Mobley. Turnovers essentially the same at 1.8 and 1.9. So yeah, if the Cavs were to finish with a higher seed, I would have gave it to Evan Mobley.
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting that we typically don't factor team success into rookie too much, but these two guys they're so good. They're not typical rookies. Rookies are usually like Cade Cunningham type seasons where they're averaging a pretty good amount of points on really bad efficiency with no team success. We're treating this almost like an MVP award, right? When we're considering the team success.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but Scotty's team has been better down the stretch than the Cavs, and they're pretty close in the standings, but the Raptors have clinched a playoff spot, and he's a huge part of that. So I really do think you have to factor that in.
And the reason we're factoring that in is because Cade didn't have such a extraordinary season where he blew these guys out of the water.
Yeah.
Like if he had like a Donovan Mitchell type season, like rookie season, where
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell averaged like 21 points on great efficiency, but his team wasn't like his team, Donovan Mitchell's team did good. But you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if he,
Yeah.
Cade averaged like
Yeah.
21 and his team didn't do
Yeah.
shit, he would have still won it. But he only averaged 17.4.
Mhm.
Like we're talking about like 2 point difference, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about 2 point difference where you're the main guy, it's your team, you got to do whatever you want versus you're in a you're in a battle for home court advantage.
Yeah.
Like it's bad. It's more impressive that he averaged 15.6 while getting 49 wins
Yeah.
versus Cade getting 2 more points and getting like no wins, right? So that's why this team success factor is being incorporated because there was no runaway on a bad team, you know, back like a Donovan Mitchell type scoring season or something like that, where someone just scores a lot of points and just runs away with the award, or even like a Luka season
Luka
where
Doncic. Yeah.
where Luka got like 25 and 5, but like his team wasn't on anything, but they still like his stats were so good that it was like no real competition, right? Like these guys' stats are all comparable, so we have to bring in the extra factor of team success to make sure it goes to Scotty Barnes. And I think like this is a close award. I see people having Cade just because they're like future projections, but you have to remember that's not a part of this award.
No.
Like, if I had the first pick, this is going to be controversial to Raptors fans. I would probably still pick Cade Cunningham, but that doesn't mean anything for this award. This award is how they performed this season, and that's why Scotty Barnes gets this award. I see a lot of that narrative come up because Cade is like very fun to watch, very electrifying, and he averaged 5.6 assists on the Detroit Pistons team, which had no scorers.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't matter. It matters this season, and Scotty Barnes had a great fifth season.
Yeah.
And I think everyone knows, like, if we're looking at just the season, it has to be Scotty Barnes, and Evan Mobley has consideration too. But it's between those two, and
exactly,
Scotty gets it.
Yeah, totally. I didn't even tell you my three. I have the same three as you: Scotty, Mobley, Cade. Yeah. So we're in pretty much total agreement on that. I think we can move on to our next award. Okay, so let's do sixth man next. This one's going to be easy. This one's going to be quick. Like mid-season, I only have one name written down, and that's Tyler Hero. And Tyler Hero averaged 21 points on around 40% from three. Nothing really else to say. No one even comes close to him, in my opinion.
No.
Yeah.
No, Tyler Hero won this award, and the only other person I give a little shout to is Kevin Love.
Yeah. Kevin Love definitely deserves a shout out there. I mean, if Jordan Poole had, maybe if that had been a whole season thing and he'd
more games off the bench
the whole season, maybe. But yeah, 21 points on 40% from three on the East top seed is gonna get you the sixth man of the year. So nothing really else to say on that. What do you want to do next? Do you want to go into MVP?
Yeah, let's just go into the biggest award that people come here to listen
to. Okay,
MVP.
Let's do it. So I just went for rookie. You go for MVP.
I have Embiid as my number 3, Giannis as my number 2, and one of my favorite players to watch, might be my favorite player, Nikola Jokic as my number 1.
Yeah, I have Giannis 3, Embiid 2, and then I have Jokic also repeating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how this flipped because I don't remember. I think both of us. No, you had DeMar DeRozan as your MVP back in the midseason, and at the time,
he was the first seed.
Yeah, at the time he was the first seed, and that was not like everyone had him in their top 3, at least top 4, right? Yeah. And then I think I had Embiid as my number 1, but neither of us had Jokic, and he was kind of like a fringe. He was always there because Jokic is just that good, and we were saying like, if he keeps up this team success, if he clinches a playoff spot, whatever, with having not had Murray and MPJ the whole season, pretty much, then we'll talk about him. And that's exactly what he did, right? He clinched a playoff spot, the 6th seed, safe from that play-in. No Murray, MPJ the whole season. Averaged a career high field goal percentage, 58% from the field, 27 points, 14 boards, and 8 assists. The first player ever with 2,000 points,
1,000 rebounds, 500 assists,
and 500 assists.
Crazy.
Just, I don't know, man. Like it gets crazier and crazier just as time goes on.
Yeah. Jokic. And people are going to mention the team success, but you have to mention the West is top heavy.
Yeah.
The difference between the Nuggets and the Bucks or 76ers is 3 wins.
Yeah.
3 wins. I know it's a 6 seed versus like a 2 seed and a 3 seed or whatever, but it's 3 wins. And 3 wins can't be a big enough factor to give it to the other two. And a lot of people are going to be like 6 seed. Even we see the media pushing it. We see like D Wade say it on national television, saying 6 seed versus 2 seed. I don't know about getting 6 seed the MVP. It's 3 wins. And at the end of the day, we can't penalize Nikola Jokic for playing in the West.
Mm-hmm.
We have to give him where his credits due. And for him to carry this roster to within 3 wins of those guys means he had a better regular season. It's just simple. Like the roster is significantly worse. Like Aaron Gordon does not compare to James Harden or Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah. And I think
and Aaron Gordon doesn't compare to Middleton.
Yeah.
Holiday.
No. Yeah, and I think this season's MVP award, I think, is maybe the most true to the definition of the award, most valuable player
his team,
because where would they be? Where would the Nuggets be without Jokic on their team? They would be, tanking for Chet Holmgren, for Paolo Banchero, or all those guys, like for real. I was looking at his on-off stats, Jokic, and their point differential when he's on versus when he's off is 20 points better. Their points per 100 possessions when he's on versus off is 12 points better, and their effective field goal percentage is 6.5% better when he's on versus when he's off. And interestingly, the defensive stats are a lot better too when he's on versus off. So I found that really interesting too.
It's crazy to think by the second year, by the end of the season, Nikola Jokic has made it not even a race, because it's not a race anymore.
It's not.
We all know Jokic has won this MVP, and it's evident. The media is going to push narratives because these players play in bigger markets, they're more exciting players, whatever. But Jokic is the MVP. It's not, people can't say it's just because of advanced stats he won. This is an insane advanced stat season. It's such a big, it's so big, the difference that he is the guy that won this award. I think anyone who's watched all three and can objectively say it without needing to push a narrative, because they want to push a narrative, they want to push this race, they want to make it competitive until the last day, because that's how they get clicks, that's how they get money. Mm-hmm. But if anyone who's watching who doesn't have a narrative to push knows Nikola Jokic has won this award. And it's crazy to say, man, back-to-back MVP at such a young age from the second round, 6 seed with 48 wins, without his two best players making max money. Man, this season is historic, and it was fun to watch. And it's incredible because even I expected him to be an 8 seed, around there. But he's definitely even smashed my expectations.
Yeah, totally. This in my opinion is the most objectively true MVP that it could possibly be. He coming off of an MVP season, he had no narrative coming in. He's not, for some reason, there's no media narrative around Jokic. No matter how good he is, he had no narrative push, and he just put together a season that you look at and you compare it to other seasons from these other players, and you cannot deny that he's the MVP. It's objective. There's no debate. He might, I don't know if he's going to be unanimous, but it should be very close to it.
Yeah.
Insane. And I mean, Giannis, shout out to him, averaged a career high in points this year, 29.9. 2 seed, he obviously has the defense, and Embiid has the defense as well. Embiid led the league in scoring this year, 30.5 points. So amazing seasons from those two, but like you said, 3 wins
not a big enough difference.
3 wins versus not having 2 max players, I think.
Yeah.
I think that swings in Jokic's favor.
If they won a Suns level amount of wins, then they would have got this award.
Yeah.
But they didn't at the end of the day. If they, you know what I mean? And buts can always rule the world, but they didn't. They didn't. And if Devin Booker had a Giannis or an Embiid type impact, then he would have won this award. But Chris Paul was there, also responsible for a lot of those wins as well. So
no, totally. Okay, so let's move on to a quick one, nice easy one. Executive of the year. I'll give you my 3. So number 3, I've got Masai Ujiri as number 3, and number 2, I have the Bulls front office, Arvydas There's two guys. I don't know who's actually like the in charge guy there,
Yeah.
but there's two guys. And I have Pat Riley number one.
Yeah, I have Pat Riley number one too, just because how good Max Stress is.
Yeah.
Yeah, how good Max Stress is made him win this award because he got a starter in playing like 1 million this year,
Yeah.
and he's playing better than Duncan Robinson. He's like playing amazing. He
Mhm.
absolutely killed us when Kyle Lowry's return game.
Yeah.
He played amazing, and he's just able to find these gems. Max Struss, the Martin twin,
Mhm.
your Staven, like
Yeah.
fill out this roster.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally agree.
Yeah, filling
Yeah,
out
I mean
this
that.
roster with great talent.
Yeah, and we didn't even mention the Kyle Lowry acquisition, right? And yeah,
Yeah,
PJ Tucker, just so many good depth acquisitions along with Kyle Lowry.
Victor Oladipo.
Yeah. Victor Oladipo, just finding these diamonds in the rough. He like this executive of the year is not won in the offseason. The Bulls,
Yeah,
I thought were gonna, they were my favorite at our midseason because of their offseason acquisitions they made, but the
yeah,
in-season moves made by Pat Riley, that's sometimes what it takes, and you need to do that if you want to win a championship, and they definitely have a championship caliber roster.
uh, sure.
I just want to shout out Masai Ujiri too, because the only real two acquisitions that the Raptors made this year were Scotty Barnes and Precious
Just
Achua. And Precious has been amazing in the second half, so that trade looks really good for both teams. Really, really win-win situation for both teams. And Scotty Barnes, we were both very upset. We both really wanted Jalen Suggs, and I'm really, really glad that we took Scotty Barnes. Getting
yeah,
someone who's going to be playing really, really heavy, important minutes in the playoffs as a rookie, and going to be really relied upon is
incredible.
more than just a draft pick. It's truly like it's almost like a free agent level signing acquisition that they made with that pick. So
Yeah,
really happy we took him.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next award. Do you want to do most improved?
sure. Let's do most improved.
Okay. So let's hear your three.
So the winner is going to be John Morant.
Yeah.
But my other two, I just wanted to shout out the Cavs players. I gave it to Darius Garland and Jared Allen as my 2 and 3.
Okay.
Just because
Okay.
how much they improved and how much Jared Allen and Darius Garland were playing well before, the injuries and stuff kicked in. But yeah, John Morant's going to win this award.
Yeah. I have John Morant 1, obviously. Darius Garland, I also have 2, and I have DeJounte Murray 3. Just want to shout him out.
Yeah.
Underrated season for him. He increased, he 5.5
Everywhere.
points he increased by, 4 assists he increased by. Obviously, he has his defense leading the league in steals. And DeJounte Murray, Darius Garland, definitely an uptick in scoring, an uptick in efficiency, but the playmaking too has been so much better this season. But John Morant, 8.5 points he went up by, 44% from the field and 37% from three he went up by.
Yeah.
Like
it's crazy.
Sorry, not 40%, 4.4% from the field, and he went up by like. Wait, I messed that up. But anyway,
37. I was kind of shocked.
Yeah, no, I wrote that down wrong. You talk, and I'll look up what the numbers actually are, and I'll tell you. I wrote that down.
Yeah,
wrong.
so John Morant went from not making All NBA to being an All NBA first team lock. That just shows how good of an improvement he made. He went from not being a top 15 player in the league to being a top 5 player lock. Like he went being top 5 MVP lock. And he took his team. I know his team is 20 and 2 without John Morant, but let's be real there. Like, if you look at the competition and stuff, it makes sense. Like when John Morant was playing, he took his team to a 2nd seed. He took his team from pretenders, from 8th seed, from not even contenders to an actual legitimate contender who some people have coming out the West and some have winning championship this year. And that's all due to his success, his leadership, him getting other people involved. Desmond Bain has taken a huge jump. Jaren Jackson has taken a huge jump. Like this is all due to John Morant being a leader on off the court, his improvement on the court, his jump shot improvement, his defensive impact, and like he has improved on that aspect of the court. He's just improved in every single aspect. His playmaking has improved, and it just shows the people that are right. And like after his rookie year, people are already saying like, you were one of them. You were saying like he's better than Zion. And then I was like, that's blasphemy. And I was so against it. But at the end of the day, right now, it looks like, yeah, you were right. That take was very good. And I was very wrong in my take. You even had him above Ben Simmons and the guys like that.
I did.
And that take is very right. Yeah, John Morant is incredible. He has shown his believers like you that he does put in the work and he does improve. And yeah, man,
Yeah.
he's an incredible young talent and kind of be the face of the league because the way his personality is and the way you see people buying his jerseys and stuff, like he might like Giannis is the best player right now, but
Mhm.
like John Morant is the face of the league. Like people are just excited and happy to watch him, and way more people talk about like a Grizzly Suns game versus like any Bucks
Right.
games, right? So like John Moran is just that electrifying guy, and it's fun to see. I haven't really seen this like outside of like LeBron James, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, no, agreed. That was one of my takes that aged well, one of my few takes that actually
Yeah,
aged well over the last few years. We don't
yeah,
need to get into that now. Okay, so his field goal percentage increased from 44.9 to 49.3 this
yeah,
year, and then his 3-point percentage went from 30% to 34%. So I said that's 3.7 points, not 37 points. That would be
yeah,
pretty crazy, shooting 70% from three. So
yeah,
so uh yeah, but like you said, basically gone from being not a top 15 player, being just like a really exciting young player coming off his rookie or second year campaign to being a lock for at least a second team All NBA, if not a first team All NBA.
probably first team.
Probably first team All NBA.
Yeah,
Yeah, just amazing. The Grizzlies are maybe gonna kind of lead us into our next conversation, which could be Coach of the Year. Because I'll give you mine. I have JB Bickerstaff 3, Taylor Jenkins 2, and Monty Williams number 1 for Coach of the
yeah.
Year.
I have Monty
Yeah,
Williams number one. I wanted him to win it. I said that the first seed should always be in contention,
yeah.
and this is why I want to say he is a lock this year because no one had them being a 7 team. No one had them Suns being a 61 team.
No.
People knew the Suns were going to be good. People knew they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be like a top 3 seed, a
Mm-hmm.
54 55 win team, but
Mm-hmm.
they're a 60 win team and they ran away with the league.
Yeah.
So he deserves it. He's a lock for this award. There's nothing else really to say. We could give shout outs to the Grizzlies coach.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Jenkins, like he definitely should be up there because he definitely exceeded expectations too. We give it to the new Celtics coach.
For
After
sure.
the first month of the
Yeah.
season, he went absolutely berserk and
Yeah.
fixed out the defense and really pushed his team and elevated everyone. Where now I would say Tatum's an above average defender.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like to make your superstar an above average defender, to also make Jaylen Brown an above average defender, than having two, defensive player of the year like candidates before Robert Williams was injured, he was there, and Marcus Smart is still one. To do all that while making Al Horford's career look rejuvenated, to make Daniel Tice look like back to Celtics Daniel Tice, you know what I mean? Derek White, he was looking amazing
Yeah.
on film, you know what I mean? Like he's made a lot of good changes and he definitely should get some consideration too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it. And Monty Williams he locked it. It's as much as Tyler Hero won 6 men, we know Monty Williams has won Coach of the Year. Anyone else wins it, it's a big robbery and it's a big travesty. Like they locked it. It's locks.
Yeah. It's locked. And like the Suns have an amazing roster. Don't get me wrong, but in my opinion, there are probably teams that have better rosters on paper. Maybe
Yeah, more talented.
more talented. Especially definitely like yeah, but the Suns play greater than the sum of their parts.
Yeah.
They're the example of that, in my opinion. That usually points to the coach. It points to a lot of the time like the leader of the team, which would be Chris Paul as well. So he definitely gets a lot of credit for that too, being the point guard. But yeah, this has to be a lock. He
Yeah.
deserved it last year, and he will finally get his coach of the year this year. But I think they have he has his sights set on maybe more lofty
Yeah, the
ambitions
ring.
this year than coach of the year. But
Yeah,
yeah, he'll get what he deserves this year.
for sure.
Okay, I think we just have one more left, right? Defensive player of the year.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, cool. So I'll go. Did I go first? No, you. Yeah, I just went. So you go.
So I have Bam as my number 3.
Uh-huh.
I have Giannis as my number 2.
Interesting.
And a guard is finally winning Defensive Player of the Year. Marcus Smart deserves it. He is my Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I have the same 3. Bam 3. Giannis 2. Smart 1. I want to shout out Mikal Bridges because he had a really good. He's
probably like my 4.
Yeah. But yeah, Marcus Smart, a guard finally winning, and we just talked about Boston, and a lot of that goes to their new coach, Ime Udoka. But yeah, they reinvented themselves as a defensive juggernaut this season, and I didn't see that coming. A lot of the credit goes to the coach. Obviously, a lot of the credit goes to Robert Williams, who unfortunately will be missing at least the first round of the playoffs. But
Yep.
Marcus Smart, man, he's always been a great defender, and this year has just been his best. And yeah, like just the defensive leader, defensive identity of that team. And yeah, guards. When was the last time a guard won Defensive Player of the Year?
Like Kawhi doesn't count as a guard, and
No.
obviously, like we're not running a test. So the last guard is dated back to Gary Payton, which is
Wow.
insane to say. And the reason Marcus Smart won this is sad to say, but him and Robert Williams working as boats on this. But now that Robert Williams out and they still have the number one defense,
Right.
it's he won it. Like that's what
Yeah.
it is. They didn't drop to number two. Like they still have the number one defense.
Mhm.
And this shows like Marcus Smart is that guy. Like he's able, that block on Giannis was like the significant
Mhm.
moment of his campaign. Like when you think of Marcus Smart's defensive player of the year campaign, that block on Giannis in the regular season is going to be the highlight. And it's incredible to see, man, like this guy who just plays his pure heart out
Mhm.
every single play. And then fourth quarter, the switching, the versatility, the vocal, like you could hear him when he's not even mic'd up. When you're just watching the broadcast, that's how loud he is. And that's how good he is, man. Like
Yeah.
what he does as a guard is just pure energy and pure effort. And he just has like, he's like what Patrick Beverly does, like what Drew Holiday does, at like combined with like what a Rudy Gobert does, and like the vocalness and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, it's so exciting to see. And the reason why Giannis didn't win it, because Giannis is probably the best defensive player this year. They're the 10th defensive team. Like
Mhm.
the Bucks don't have a good enough defense to have a defensive player of the year. But Giannis, I think we can all accept that he's the best defensive player, the best defensive free safety, the best switch defender,
Mhm.
the best defender is probably Giannis. But the team defense and the lack of like the lack of team defense just made him slip to two. And obviously, Brook Lopez missing most of the season is a big reason for that. But
Mhm.
you got to give credit where credit's due. And this year, Marcus Smart was able to sneak one away from Giannis, sneak one away from Rudy Gobert, sneak one away from the bigs, and even someone like Bam, who probably could have won this award. He missed games, and the team's defense wasn't up there, so he was able to sneak one away from them too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like with Bam or Rudy Gobert, and Bam missing time or Rudy Gobert and the Bucks defense not being up there, it has to be Marcus Smart.
Has to be Marcus Smart. Imagine betting on him preseason
Oh,
to win
my
Defensive Player of the Year.
God.
Wow.
That would have been a crazy payout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guard. Well, Gary Payton, do you know what year that was? Probably.
Like this was back when he was versing Michael Jordan in the in the finals. So like 91, 92.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's insane.
Maybe
Wow.
96.
Yeah.
Still
Wow.
crazy.
Crazy. Yeah. Wow. Okay, yeah, that does it for our 6 awards plus executive of the year. We're going to be coming back next week with all NBA teams, all defensive teams, all rookie teams, all those teams. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you for listening to this one. You can check us out everywhere: Instagram at Stars to the Floor Podcast, YouTube SEF Clips. Subscribe to the podcast feed, iTunes, Spotify. Leave a like, rating, review because it all really helps. Thank you again, and we will see you next week.